A cop and an ex-con walk into a podcast. This is gonna be good. 2 different lives, same struggles.
Good evening, everybody. It is Mark with Beyond the Struggle. I am back with Christine. Christine, welcome back.
Hi.
So we have decided that we are going to do a series that we are hoping that you guys would enjoy. And we are going to title it An Ex-Con and a Cop Walk into a Podcast. And we might actually reverse that on the title there, but yeah. So what we're gonna do on this on these series is we're gonna do some series and we're gonna ask some questions that cops would like to ask cons or ex-cons, and then we're gonna do the same on this end, and we're gonna ask some questions that we want to know. We're gonna be try to be as serious as we can, but at the same time, I'm sure with both of our personalities, we got some serious humor going on. So.
I don't have high hopes for that.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Because I got some really ridiculous questions to ask that I'm thinking. So because you are the
legit.
guest, are they though?
They're legit, but they're like funny legit. Like I wrote my stuff down.
Yeah, no,
I've been thinking about it.
I am 47 years old, and I've been waiting for this moment all my life.
Okay. All right.
Since the day I got put in handcuffs, I have been waiting for this moment. Like,
okay.
I never have gotten this opportunity to ask these questions. Like, and I seen you posted.
You may not want to answer some of mine. Like I've even considered that. I was like,
okay, well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's be honest, and we're gonna both agree that we will answer them to the best of our and honest ability. Okay. Both being Christian based.
Pinky swear.
Okay, sounds good. I'm in. Okay. I'm in, and you know, if I can't answer, I will plead the fifth. No.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, that was an
that is your constitutional right.
It is. Well, you are the co-host on here. I have made you an official co-host over there because it says it. That's why it is official.
Whoa.
Yeah,
okay.
Right there below your name it says co-host. So you are an official co-host. So I'm going to let you go first, and we'll start this off, and we'll keep this session. And when you guys do watch this, keep in mind when you guys do watch this, if you guys have questions for either one of us, let us know. You know, definitely comment in the section and let us know if you have any questions that you would like to hear us answer together or answer apart, or for those that follow her and the people that follow me, you can message us and ask us too, because then that will make it interesting for another episode as well. So
yeah,
I'm gonna let you go first because you are the co-host.
Okay. All right. So my first question is, what was your day 41 moment? Do you know what day 41 is?
No, but I'm gonna let you explain it because some people may not know what that means.
Okay. It says the point, this is what I wrote down. The point you said, all right, like I can't live like this anymore. Was it like a jail cell, a sermon that got you, or you just finally being sick of your own nonsense? So a day 41 is, you know, the Bible talks about everything in days of 40. Like there was 40 days of rain for Noah. There was 40 years in the wilderness for the Israelites. And then day 41 came whenever they were finally got the promised land, and you know God sent the rainbow to Noah on day 41. So it's like a period of time that you have spent in struggle. Day 41 is like whenever God starts really like showing up and showing out in your life. So what was your day 41 moment?
This time? I mean, being honest, I've had a few of those day 41s, you know what I mean? I've had multiple ones. This last time around, you know, I got a hefty prison sentence. I got sentenced to 13 years in prison with 5 years parole. I'm sure I'll leave that open for you to ask questions later. But you know, I've been in and out of the system my whole life, you know. And this time around, I think it was going to jail and realizing that I was going to get out to nothing, if that makes sense. Like I this time around, I didn't have I had my grandmother, but she was like in her late 80s. I had my best friend, but I wasn't sure if he was going to be sober or do the right thing. So I just kind of was like, I wanted to be done. And the closer I got to being able to get out, I realized that I was going to do this for the rest of my life. In 2005, I was released from prison. And that was my day ones. You know, I was clean and sober most of the time inside. prison. I didn't really do a whole bunch of drugs. I smoked a little weed during Christmas every once in a blue moon out of the 5.5 years I served on that sentence. But day one for me was definitely when I hit the ground outside and I was like, I'm done. Day 41 was that day for sure. When I got out this last time, I knew I was done. I've never went back. I've never relapsed. I've stayed. I have a 20-year coin sitting in front of me on my desk here.
It was like a mix of both. Like you going to
It,
jail and just being sick and tired of your
it
own
was sick and
nonsense.
tired of being sick and tired. I would love to tell you, and being honest with you, I would love to tell you it was a spiritual thing, but it wasn't at that point in my life. No, I have other moments that were like that, but no, not that time. Oh, no.
Well, irregardless, you made it.
Yeah,
And
I'm
that's
still
what's
here.
important.
I'm still doing this.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you, I'm gonna ask a serious one too.
Okay.
So at any point of being a cop, have you ever went against what you felt was the right thing to do? And what I mean, I'll break it down for you, so I won't make it too complicated. What I mean is let's say you pull somebody. I'm just gonna give you a scenario. Is the best way to do it. You pull somebody over. You know that potentially, okay, like pulling a mom over with the kid in the car. You know that you found drugs on her. You know that there's something more you probably could do. Just giving you a scenario though. This is just, you know what I mean? But a scenario like that, like where, you could do some more rather than making sure you just lock her up and be a cop. Has the compassion ever been there where you went against the grain? Something like that.
So I would say yes, that there have been times that I've really taken into consideration somebody's situation. I will say that in my early years of law enforcement, I did see things as pretty much just black and white, but I was never I would say that I've never been just like strong arm law type. Do you know what I mean? If you were doing wrong, then you had to pay the consequences for it. Now, did I go above and beyond and offer you help like I do now? No, I didn't then. It was I was probably harder, truthfully, on moms that weren't doing right.
Yeah.
And was having that crap around their kids and doing stuff like that around their kids because I grew up in a life like that. And at the time, I didn't realize that, it was a PTSD thing for me. So there was a ton of resentment that was residual. And obviously, I probably took that out on people that weren't the ones who inflicted the pain upon me.
Right.
So I will say that. But no, I have always just been the type of cop that you have a choice to make. That if, for instance, you gave a scenario, I'll give one. And this is what I've always told people that I've FTO'd. If you find a single mom who just bought a new to her car and she's working, doing the best she can, baby daddy's not in the picture, and she's got two small kids in the back seat, and you pull her over because she doesn't have no insurance. All right. Obviously, she's doing the best she can. She's working. She's got to pay a babysitter. She ain't got no help. And you choose, it's illegal to drive without insurance, but you had a choice in that moment to give her a warning or write her a citation for no insurance. You have the power to change somebody's life with an ink pen. And that is a great, immense amount of power that a lot of officers do abuse. So obviously, if she didn't have the money to pay for the insurance, she doesn't have the money to pay the ticket that you're about to write her. So that in turn is a revolving door effect. She can't pay the citation, so she's going to have a warrant for her arrest. Yeah. The next time she gets pulled over, she's going to go to jail. If her kids are in the car, they go to DHS because she doesn't have anybody to come get them. So now you've just put a woman who was trying, or a man for that instance, in the system. For what reason?
Right.
Because
and I just used a woman because it just sounded more emotional.
Yeah.
So.
No, but I mean, it's that, don't get me wrong. There are times to show compassion and times not to show compassion. There's things that you can, I would say, give a warning, not necessarily overlook, give a warning on, and there's things that you can't. And if any point in time I found somebody that had meth on them, I'm sorry, no, we have to go to jail. We have to go to jail. That's not one thing that I could overlook. No insurance on a vehicle, something I could overlook. Not wearing your seatbelt, something I could overlook. Speeding, something I could overlook. Things that are just, there's too much. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there's just too much.
There's not even a fine line. It's a bold line.
I mean, it's just, it is. But I would say that I've never compromised my morals for things before. Now, with the exception of knowing that I should have stepped in to help people, like you and I discussed once before, stepping in to help people. And I was called by the Holy Spirit to do that. not from a law enforcement standpoint
Right.
necessarily to do that, but from a moral standpoint, and I just didn't. But God had dealt with me on that. So
Right.
that's, it wasn't a legal issue, it was a moral issue.
Yeah.
So
I
hope that
always,
answered your question.
it did, because, I have had incidents in my life where, I felt like the cop never said it, but applied it. Like I have gotten in trouble and went to jail, and I know that there's more stuff to be charged with, and he knows that that might put me over the edge, type of thing.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to charge me with it. But after we're on the way to the police station and I get the big lecture about to get my life together, I'm still young, type of thing, and then I get charged with a certain amount of stuff or this, that, type of thing, and I'm like, oh, maybe that was him and letting me know, like, hey, you know what? Don't play with me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, this is not part of my second question, but at any point in time, did you ever feel grateful that they just didn't like throw the book at you or railroad you with charges, knowing that they could have?
No, I be honest with you, I would, if it wasn't for my kids, I would answer that question differently. If it was for my babies, if it wasn't for my kids, let's say, I mean, I believe in, and you do too, I believe in God, so I believe I was going to have my kids no matter what. So to answer it honestly, I wish I would have got sentenced a long time ago, many, 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 many times ago, that I got, I had, my brother and I, we had paid attorneys. We were a little bit different. So we had paid attorneys, and I mean, I would get in trouble with, a handful of drugs and get, intent to possess. Yeah. If you've ever heard of that charge. That's, I've never heard of that charge until I had a lawyer. Intent to possess, and I walked out the same day. So, that's what lawyers do. So that's, I wish I would, that day, I wish I would have got a prison sentence,
Maybe it would have turned your life around a little bit sooner.
Yeah, it would have definitely, I'm not mad about it because I got a beautiful life now, but, all in God's time is what I've learned. So I'm not mad about it. But yes, if you,
100%.
everything happens for a reason. And that's the other thing, so, that story of the case I just told you about, the intent to possess, is a really insane one but go ahead.
So we'll go down that rabbit hole another time.
Yeah, we'll go down that rabbit hole another day.
All right. So my second question, do you ever look back and think that if you had met a cop like me back then, that it would have changed anything, or were you just too hard-headed for all that?
No, because I met cops like you before. I met cops that I really had a good, fun relationship with. And I mean that with all due respect, meaning it was a cat and mouse game. I know we won't say no names, but me and you have talked about that. You have a couple people like that you that you deal with, they're doing wrong. So my brother and I, and I'll just speak for myself. My brother and I, we both had, though, I personally had cops that would always pull me over and just be like, we know. It's just a matter of time. And they would. It was a matter of time till I got real loose or real dumb and forgetful, believe it or not. I forget that I had that little personal bag in my key pocket. And then, you look real stupid going to jail that you're this big drug dealer with a 1/4 gram of dope in your pocket. How stupid did you feel? And you can't get no money on your, you know what I mean? So, no, being honest with you, no. To answer to your question, no, I don't, no offense to you.
No, none.
During my addiction.
Actually, I already knew the answer to this before I asked it.
I know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is because, like I said, I wasn't ready. A lot of guys and a lot of people that are going to be watching this, that, at least the people that follow me are going to be, there's some people that just, in their mind, they may not be ready. And that's the thing. You have to be ready to accept any kind of advice. I would get it all the time, especially with the cops that cared. That's why I asked you about that question about people letting people go or letting, making different decisions, because that happened to me. And I think about those times, which is weird that it led to your second question to me, because it led to cops letting me go sometimes. And I remember I told you that story where the cops came up and I fell asleep in the parking lot. And they let me go. Had they actually searched that car that day, I was definitely going to prison. It's not a question. So those are times where I'm like, no, I wish I would have just gotten in trouble.
Well, I won't lie. My question was selfish in nature. And the reason that I wanted to ask it is in a way to reassure myself that I am doing enough, even though it doesn't always feel like that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to share this. This is kind of a little off the subject, but I did share it with you and I want to share it with them as well. So when I got my big case, I told you about that story when I got in that high speed chase with the cop, and he was on one of these episodes, I'm going to bring the paperwork in and read it. And that would be kind of fun. And the state trooper, they actually, when after I got out of doing prison and I was already a couple years out, I went back and got this money that was owed to me that I didn't think was owed to me. He's like, hey, we got a check for you. And one of the state troopers that was there, mind you, I had been locked up 5.5 years, 2 years in, so 7.5. And then my daughter was about a year. So about 8 years later, they call me in to get this check. And I'm like, I'm going to jail for something that they just, I don't know statute of limitations of anything. So, I go in there and there's one cop left in this station. And it's a small town, way smaller than where you're at, way smaller. There's like maybe, I don't even know. I can't even tell you. It's small. It's called Hugo, Colorado. You can look it up one time. It's really small. They got a state trooper placed there. And, one guy's working there, long story short. I get in there and we get to talking and he's like, he was the one like you that was trying to talk some sense into me. And I just laughed it off kind of, you know what I mean? But I didn't appreciate it till I'm like 3 years in. I'm like, man, that dude saved me, really, in reality, because he had a lot of good stuff to say. He's like, he couldn't understand why I was laughing about what had just happened. Like, I'm like, I was in a 140-mile-an-hour speed chase. Like, why are you laughing? And I thought it was the funniest thing ever because I never understood when criminals would, they get pulled over and they have drugs on them. And like if I'm in your small town and I watch your stuff, I know you're going to find my stuff. It's going to be like that. Right. I'm not going to stop. You're going to have to catch me. That's how I always was. Why would you do that? I'm going to prison anyways. That's how I looked at it. It was an ugly way to look at things, but that was the truth. So yes. And to formally answer your question, yes, like I said, no, it wouldn't have mattered. You are doing the right thing by doing what you do because there is somebody out there that isn't as far gone as I was at those times, that you could change their life. You know what I mean? Now, if you would have stopped me when I was younger and, stuff like that, maybe there might have been a chance, you know what I mean? But when I was in my addiction, 1995, there was no stopping me. Me and you we wouldn't even have been on the same level. The cat and mouse game would have been there laughing at the gas station at each other type of thing. While I go into the store and get a soda and come out with a trunk full of drugs. And that's how it was.
I appreciate your honesty though. I had a feeling that I knew how you were going to answer it. I really did.
Yeah.
But I was
don't ever stop doing what you're doing. Like, I mean, don't let your compassion change. That's why my first question was about that. Like, compassion matters, that's the truth behind it. When you lose that, you lose respect for the street, period. Remember that too.
Yes.
If I could give you, I know you probably don't need no advice. You've been doing this a long time, but
no, I need all the advice I can get.
From an ex-con's point of view, don't ever do that because the thing with criminals is you guys already have a bad rap. It's you hear it in songs, F the police, F this, F that, and it's already sucks. You know what I mean? And it's always F the cops until you need them. That's what at 47 years old, that's what I learned. It's always like that. So don't stop with what you're doing because there's somebody out there that's, especially now with Jesus so far in your life, you know what I mean? You don't know what he's going to speak to you to that person you're going to get pulled over and they may need to hear what you got to say, really. So, no.
100%.
So I'm going to ask a funny one now.
Okay.
So out of all the times you have been a cop, what is the most, give me 3 of the most silliest places you have ever found drugs at?
Okay. So one of the most memorable ones was inside of one of those gallon-sized goldfish crackers. That they come in like the big
milk
boxes.
crate, the milk crate, the milk carton ones.
Yes. So like you can buy them in bulk at like Sam's Club.
Yeah.
All right. So I had pulled over. Now this is pre medical marijuana card. So marijuana in the state of Arkansas was illegal at this time.
Very illegal.
Yeah. Yeah. You couldn't possess any amount at all.
Right.
It was illegal. So I'd gotten a group of college kids down at the lake and you could smell it. Like I knew it was there. It was unmistakable. I knew it was there. All of them were going to a very Christian college and they would have been kicked out if they would have gotten in trouble. So they all lied, of course. But I don't know if they just thought I was too dumb to like look everywhere. I'm a pilfer. I'm telling you, like I am a nosy mother trucker. And I want to go through your stuff. Like, that brings me so much joy. If I could make a living just going through people's stuff, going through things,
Like
I would do it
pickers.
forever. Yes.
Right?
Yes. I want to go through the junk drawers. You give me a backpack, you give me 15 backpacks. I will spend my entire shift going through all those backpacks. Like,
Nice.
it brings me so much joy. So, like, I was looking all in this car, and then I saw this, in the back seat, there was this gigantic thing of goldfish crackers. And I was like, what the heck, So I opened it up. Sure enough, they had stashed all of their weed down in this box of goldfish crackers.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool. One of the saddest places that I have ever found drugs was inside of a baby's diaper in the back seat. That was a very common thing, actually. Yeah. You would get parents rolling down the highway. They'd get pulled over. They didn't want anything to be found. They didn't think that we would search the babies. But like I told you, I will literally look anywhere. And I don't know. I've always trusted my gut a lot whenever it comes to things like that. But I also worked at the prison. And that was one thing that they taught us at the prison. Like, anytime, you bring kids into the prison, the babies have to get searched too. It sucks. So I took that prison work with me out on the street. And, I did it whenever I was a cop. And I found quite a few drugs in baby diapers, which is tragic. It's just absolutely tragic.
It is. It is if they have the baby. No, I'm just kidding.
It is. Yeah.
'Cause
If they don't have a baby, it's weird.
Yeah, I've probably been that weird person before. No, I don't know, but I've done weird stuff. I've hid drugs different places.
Yeah, that was just sad. To me, that's one of those times that I told you, like, man, I will crawl in somebody's tail. Like, you brought your kids into this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's low. Like, that's low. And another weird place was inside of a woman's hair clip. Like, I always make the girls take their hair down and shake it out because, like, that's a big thing. Like, they'll wrap their
Roll
hair
it
up,
up,
throw
yeah.
a clippy in it. Yeah. I found drugs.
You could fit a large amount of drugs up there, believe it or
You
not.
can. You
Yeah.
can. Oh, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
So I think those are the weirdest places. Everything else to me just seems normal. Like, obviously, to people that don't do it, like, if it's going to be normal to you because you've hid drugs there. Probably it's going to be a little bit normal to me because I have found drugs there. But, like, to people out in the world, they're just going to be like, "Oh, I would have never thought that. I would have never thought that." So
Yeah,
I would say those are the most interesting places.
Yeah, I have literally, to touch on that because I know it interests you. I have literally had some weird spots I've hidden drugs and gotten away with it, believe it or not.
Well, I will tell you one more. I know you only asked for 3, but this one is actually quite funny. We had a girl come in for her drug test. She had to come in for drug test because I was a probation officer for a little while. And I always patted people down before I let them go to the bathroom and go take their drug test. I always did it. And I just had a feeling that she was holding. Like, I just knew. And because I told you, I trust my gut. So something just didn't sit right. Like, she failed her drug test, which, was going to bust her on probation anyway. But I was like, something is not right. So I went in the bathroom and was, like, searching the bathroom because she was about to go to jail. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she knew she was going to fail. So she was, that busted her probation. Like, I've got to take you to jail now. And I looked everywhere in that bathroom and I couldn't find nothing. I was like, dang. So I took the lid off the back of the toilet, and she had stuffed an eyeglass case with a loaded rig in it in the back of the toilet because she didn't want to take it to jail. Like, I just knew. Like, like, told you. Like, it's that gut feeling, like, you just know something's not quite right.
Right.
And yeah, she just didn't want to take it into jail with her. So she was holding like I thought, but she had hid it in the bathroom.
What's crazy is I can't sit here and tell you one of the times that I had hid drugs in my car that they actually got found.
Really?
Yeah. Every time I have gotten in trouble for holding drugs or having drugs, it's because I was too stupid to hide them. I leave a house. I typically not driving around with a large quantity of drugs at the time. Try not to, at least. That was one of the big rules, but I always had like a little bit for possession, you know what I'm saying? It's just for myself, personal use. I had a really ugly habit after I had been up for a couple of days. I would put it in I would show you, I got long socks on, knee-high socks. I would always put it in my sock or in my key pocket. Sometimes I throw it right in the cup holder when I get in the car. That's how bold I was a lot of times.
You just left it in the cup holder.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I would just do stupid stuff sometimes. Like, it just didn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, I really wasn't, I don't know. I did do some stupid stuff at night, late at night, but we try not to be on the streets that late. Like you're going to pull me over if it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm driving around and no other cars are around and I look weird and suspicious. That's, you're asking for trouble. Like, so a lot of my stuff I try to get done in the daytime, you know, less conspicuous.
Makes sense.
Thought I'd share that.
It really does make perfect sense.
That was a bonus.
Well, see, I mean, like I said, people are going to think that it's not obvious, but like, this is one that's huge in law enforcement. I don't even know. This is probably not your jam. It's probably not something you did. But if you ever search somebody and you find a sex toy, there's drugs in that car. Like, there's normally drugs in the sex toys, but like, I mean, that is just all they literally walk hand in hand. And I made a video about it and everybody just thought it was the funniest thing ever. But like the Crown Royal bags, like 9 times out of 10, if you find a Crown Royal bag full of torch lighters or torch lighter pieces, you're probably going to find dope. You know what I mean? Like,
and I'll tell you another snitch one. When you pull somebody over and you already pretty much know, you can tell by looking at me. I always thought that too. Like, I never understood some people when they were like, you know, not to separate myself from anybody or my brother. I bring him into it because me and him were like hip and hip. I always stayed clean. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have sores all over my face. Like, I was clean. Like, I liked clean clothes. When my clothes got dirty, I threw them in the trash and bought new ones. You know what I mean? Like, I always stayed clean. So it was never like, you pull me over, you know I was drug dealing because I was driving a car and I had that persona about me. That's what gave it off. But never have I ever been in a situation to where I was like, thinking that they're not, like, I was never like, oh my God, they're going to find the drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I hit them and I was on a trip, like, you weren't going to find them, you know? But the tattletale one I was going to tell you, cooler. If you see a cooler in a car, and you already got that weird feeling, look at the cooler, look in the cooler, look at the cans in the cooler, 2-liter bottles. You could do some pretty big busts like that, you know? Because, you know, meth can be, like this, you know, watered down. So, you know, you can take 2-3 ounces of meth into a 2-liter bottle of squirt and water it down like this and literally put the top back on. So you might want to ask, you know, why would you have a 2-liter bottle in there? Because all I have to do is when I actually make it across state lines or wherever I'm going, I just take this bottle and I put it in a pan on a Pyrex and dry it back out. And I got the dope that I just drove across town with. Water bottles too, by the way.
I actually did know about the water. Now, another place that people just like to throw it is inside any kind of cup. Like, that is one thing. Like, if I ever see a styrofoam cup or can for that matter, sitting in a cup holder, man, I'm dumping your crap out. Like, I don't care. I'm dumping everything out. Like, I mean, if I wouldn't say I'm a dog, but man, I'm pretty decent at finding dope.
There's a funny story about a styrofoam cup. So I had a buddy of mine. He used to get those like the Circle K. I don't know if you guys have Circle K out there, but like the AM/PM or whatever, the big gulp kind of thing, right? So same scenario. So what you do is you get the big gulp, the styrofoam one or the white ones from restaurants, and then you take the cup and you slide it up all the way to the thing, and then it doesn't fit, right? It fits below the brim. So you get the one without the brim, and then you pull it off, and then you take a razor and you cut the tip of it nice and straight, and then you bring it up to the brim of the existing one, and then it leaves you about that much room at the bottom of the cup. You'll never find it if they know what they're doing, because you're going to grab the cup and it's going to look like one cup. It's one big cup, and you're going to like open it, but it's 2 cups. And the other part, the brim, the lip that's on that side of the cup, the other one's cut off. So it just slides right up to it and it looks like 1 cup.
It's genius. I'm telling you, people are like, I'm telling you that drug users are some of the most creative humans that I've ever met in my life. Truthfully.
They think they are. I don't know.
Well, they really are, truthfully. I mean, like, you don't know too many mechanics that can literally work on a 4-wheeler at 2 a.m. with nothing but a headlamp. Do you know what I'm saying? And get it running. Right. Like, I mean, they're pretty ingenuitive.
Right.
Truthfully. I give them kudos. I take nothing away from them.
I tell you, when I was in my addiction really bad, I would throw some toys. That's why I laughed when you said the diaper thing. I would throw some toys in the backseat of my car, and I have a stuffed animal back there, and that's where I would put my gun in the back of the stuffed animal, inside the stuffed animal, because they would go and if you have no reason to pull me out of the car, you're going to look in the back seat and see kids' toys and know that I probably borrowed, because that's what guys do, borrow the car from their baby mama. And that's what you're going to think. And you're going to ask me where I'm going, and I'm going to lie, and you're going to let me go because all my registration and everything is legal. So right in plain sight, right in plain sight. Like, some of the stuff is just ridiculous.
It really is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
That is. Ugh.
All right. Well, give me another question.
Man, you should just teach classes. You should teach classes.
I could probably get a group of 3 people on here that would just blow your mind, like between myself and 2 other people.
I would. Shoot, I'd be like, can I please take notes? You know,
it's so crazy.
Like, if but the point is it's not like to cause harm. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it's to save lives, truthfully. And it's the tough love aspect of it all. Like, do I enjoy having to take people to jail? No, I really don't. I find no joy in it at all. But if it saves your life, and your parents are not having to worry at night where you are, or that you're being fed, or that they know you're safe, as safe as you can be in a jailhouse. And that, to me, it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it at the moment.
It's crazy because, like, being an ex-felon type of thing, ex-con type of thing, through the lifestyle, we have codes, that you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, I'm not gonna call you, that's how it was. I'm not gonna call you. I'm gonna deal with it myself. I'm not gonna snitch on somebody. I'm not gonna do all that stuff. And I remember when I had to call the police for the first time in my life, I called my brother literally in tears. Me and my daughter's mom really got into it really bad. She went psycho on me and jumped in my truck as I was trying to drive away. Through the window, I have a little, not little, I had a lifted truck, a F-250, and she literally ran at me and jumped in my window and tried to grab the steering wheel when I was driving away. We had split up.
Lord.
And I call my brother. I'm like, I could call the police, man. Like, I need to get my stuff. Like, we split up. She won't give me none of my stuff back. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. He's like, call the police. What's the problem? He's like, call the police. Like, we're not about that life no more. Don't worry about it. Call the police. It means nothing. Get your stuff, dude. But it was the hardest phone call ever, I remember.
Yeah.
So that time,
you got that stigma in your head.
Yeah. So that time was, and I was just fresh out too. I was, maybe a year out of prison. And all that happened. So, and then there was another time that I ran into. I know these are way off topics, but we just got kind of going. But there was another time I was actually work was slow for us, and I went and started working at a place where they do like that, like UAs, and they do groups and stuff, something like that. And so when I was there, my job was to do the male UAs and BAs and the female BAs, obviously. So everybody knew me. I was there for a couple months. Everybody was really cool with me. I didn't let nobody slide. They knew not to come in with that bull. You know what I mean? I knew the difference if it was mouthwash or not. You know what I mean? Like, I knew these moves. And so this girl comes in. She comes running in out of breath, and I don't remember her name. It was years and years ago. But she's like, hey, she goes, I just let you know I brushed my teeth. I'm like, I knew, like, you could have pulled that on the counselor maybe, but I know, like, I know I am you. You know what I mean? Like, I was you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know these moves, and I just looked at her. I said, hey, well, do this. Go rinse your mouth. Go rinse your mouth out, swish it around, spit it out, do a couple times, and then come do your BA. So she did, and she blew hot. And I told her, I was like, look, I said, okay, so by law, we're supposed to wait. We can give them a couple minutes. I don't remember what the times were at the time, but I'm just going to say 10 minutes. We can wait 10 minutes, and then they can blow again before we take action, right? So we can't hold them at these facilities. I don't know if it's like that all over the place, but this place we couldn't hold them. We call it in their probation, or we call the police, unless something's really wrong. Well, she just looks at me and she's shaking her head like I need to let her go. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, but I was struggling, because I was really struggling with that, so, and it was one of those moments where I was just like, man, and this goes back to the beginning of what we were talking about those moments of when you put the right thing and the wrong thing to do. And I was like, I can't let her go. And I was thinking about it. I really was. I was thinking about, like, saying, oh yeah, she passed, and just write it. I can write it easily. And she looked at me and she just kept shaking her head. And I was like, I can't, man. You gotta blow, you gotta blow a 0, whatever it is, legal limit. And I was like, so she stood up and blew, and she was hot again. And I'm like, man, she just started crying. I'm like, dude, she's like, please just let me go. I'm like, I can't hold you. You can go. And then she goes, oh my God, thank God. She goes, you got to report this, don't you? I was like, I do. She goes, oh my gosh. She goes, thank God I got my babies in the car. I said, hey, hold up. I said, I said, now I can't let you go, man. She goes, you can't stop me. You're not a cop. I was like, I said, yeah, but they have the authority to stop you. And I'm going to let them know you can't do that, man. Like you cannot legally drive. I don't even know where that really came from because, in my lifetime, I wouldn't have cared less, being honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So but it was one of those moments. That was another moment in my life where I felt like I was changing. You know what I mean? Because it
was
just
a
felt,
God moment.
it felt wrong. You know what I mean? I let her go and she had her babies in the car. What were you doing driving drunk to go do a BA anyways? Like I was so mad. So I told her, I was like,
well, you know how it is. Whenever you're in addiction, you really don't rationalize through hardly anything.
It's a weird prayer and a weird blessing, but I thank God that I didn't have children during my addiction. I always say that to people that went through stuff with their children. I was blessed with not having children during my addiction. I don't know. Cause it hurts me to talk crap about people with kids in addiction. You know what I mean? But I find myself doing that sometimes, and I try not to now, but I don't understand it. You know what I mean? I don't understand selling off your food stamps. I understand the addiction part, but those are crazy parts. But anyways.
Yeah. Question number 3. All right. It says, how does faith fit into your story? Was it something that you ran from or something that finally ran you down? Like, all right, we're just going to sit still. This is what we're doing now. Like your faith journey. So did you run from it or did it finally run you down?
Both, literally both. I've always believed in God. I've always had God in my life. My grandma baptized me. I didn't go to church, obviously, in my addiction, but I believed in God. Every time I went to jail, I picked up a Bible, just like every other person would do when they go to jail. And being 100 with you and being honest, because that's where I'm at in my life, I really wasn't picking up the Bible as much, even when I went to jail. I wasn't. I would here and there. County jail mostly, but once I got to prison, it was like, nah. I had other things I had on my mind. But and then the other part was it chased me down up until recently. 20 years. I'll have 21 years January 25th of next year. So in a few months, I'll have 21 years of no drugs. And
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been in and out, not lukewarm as they would call it, or on the fence. That's never been me. I've always gone to church since I got out of prison. I've always went to church. I go to church religiously. I pray, but I never dove into the Bible reading like on my own. So, my brother got sick last year with the diagnosis, and I thought I was going to lose him. And he had a coming to Jesus moment. He pulled through it. When he did, he pulled through it with the Bible in his hand. And, when he was laid up sick from chemo and stuff like that in bed, he was reading the Bible. I was making sure our company was running and doing what I had to do to make sure his kids were okay, stuff like that, So when he came out of it with the Bible, and he's like, hey, I call him my brother. We've been friends for 33 years. When he came out of it, he's telling me, hey, you got to start reading the Bible, bro. We got to get closer to God. Like, we're messing up. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is a friend, and I don't know, how many people out there have friends like this, but he's one of my friends I would go through the fire with. He's one of the people that was in the fire like Daniel. You know what I'm saying? He would have been one of the 3 with me in that fire. So when he says something, I particularly listen. And if not, I take it into perspective and try to manipulate it the way I need to do it. So I did. I started reading. I wasn't head over heels for it. I'm reading. It's not like when I say head over heels, I wasn't understanding it,
Yeah.
And so where you talk about or you ask about it chasing me down, it wouldn't let me go afterwards. I started having these major convictions in my life. Just of not so much of the way I was living, because I've always had a real big heart. I've always had a passion for what I do. When I say I'm going to do something, I usually do it, So I had great qualities that just I wasn't applying them. That makes sense. You know what I mean? I wasn't applying them in my life and in my family's life and in my friend's life. And man, did I have a moment. I'm not going to break down and cry over this, but I had a real moment, and I told you about it with my daughter. And so I feel like that moment, I was just lying. like I'm sitting here telling you right now, I'm like, I could easily told you yeah and no, and kept it short, but I barely, July 10th, July 10th of this year, I will tell you, as when I stopped being chased. That's how and I've always had Jesus in my life. I had a real moment in my life where last year I not cursed at God, but I was pretty upset that he was taking my brother from me. And then this year, my daughter, I thought. So when I did it, I'm telling myself, oh yeah, God. But I'm not believing that. You know what I mean? I'm not believing none of that. And so I have a heart attack on my honeymoon, and I have my moment of coming to Jesus. My wife's asleep. They're coming to test me every 4 hours for this heart attack that I have, and I have another one coming. And for 4 hours straight, I just prayed and prayed and prayed and said I was sorry. And,
And that was your
I
moment.
begged to hear the Holy I look at how smart I am. This is what you do on this
Same.
in case you guys are wondering.
Hey, so
In case you guys are wondering, this is what I do. I've had the Holy Spirit talk to me before, multiple times, especially, walking this walk. And when I bluntly lied, last year I already had this huge conviction of, I literally argued with Jesus. I literally argued with God. I literally was so mad and frustrated that this is happening. I even said, I'm, and again, I'm walking a different walk, but when I said this, I was like, how can pedophiles, be out there doing what they do and you're going to take this guy? Those are the words I used,
yeah.
So when I have my moment, July 10th on my honeymoon, Holy Spirit's talking to me, do this, do that all the time. Up until this point on my honeymoon, nothing. I would pray for at dinner. I usually hear something, nothing. I didn't pay no attention to it. That day I had a real bad day with my daughter, and her, and my brother. So just a short, brief story about this. My brother told me, he read the Bible to me in our shop one time, and he told me, he's like, hey, God loves her more than you love her. It hit home. It resonated. It really did. I'd be a liar if I didn't resonate. I felt a little relief, but deep down, I was like, nobody can love my kid more than me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I never spoke it, but that's what I was thinking in my head after I got home. And I'm like, I even posted it on Facebook, which made it worse. And the conviction came. My brother said this, and I feel better. And he's right. God does love my daughter more than me. She's going to be okay. And I didn't feel she was going to be okay, So I turn around and I'm talking, and I get a couple words out of the Holy Spirit after 4 hours of praying and breaking down. And finally, like the third hour, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I surrender. And I surrendered, and I just cried and cried and cried. And all of a sudden I heard this voice in my head, you're going to be okay. That's it. Nothing else. Not, hey, go here, go there, do this, call this person. You're going to be okay. And I felt when I heard it though, because I felt this just calm feeling over my body.
Yeah.
My wife woke up 20 minutes later in a frantic, and I told her, I was like, hey, we're going to be okay. And she's freaking out, I mean, we just got married, dude, like a few days before this. And, I'm like, no, we're going to be okay. She's like, why are you so calm? I'm like, I prayed on it. We're going to be fine. And I really meant it this time. Do you know what I'm saying? So that was, I got done getting chased. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yes and no on both. You know what I mean? That was my last moment when I gave it up. I'm not, this perfect by far. Will I ever be? More than likely. I try
Neither
my
one of us,
best.
bro.
I try my best. You know what I mean? Anyways, yeah. Yeah. Sorry about all that.
You're good. Hey. Hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's what we're here
Okay.
for.
So, the other one I wanted to ask you, was if you had a chance to go back in time for any of the times you've ever pulled somebody over and do it again, what was it and what would you do differently?
Let me see. If I had a chance to go back.
We all have those regretful moments, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe you said or did something, or maybe you could have did more, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm trying to think of like a traffic stop moment that there was probably more that I could have done. I would like to say that they're all just like pretty basic. There's really only one that I will say that sticks out in my head, but I don't know that I don't know, for one, that there's much I could do to change what happened or would change how it ended, because I think there was a lot of good that came out of it. Now, obviously where we live is very, I told you, it's a very small place. And I had gotten dispatched to a call that there was a vehicle leaving another town headed to our city that had flashed a gun at someone going down the road. And I was the only one working. And so it just, it just so happened, like, as soon as I was leaving town, headed the direction that he was headed, I passed him. I passed the car. So I turned around, turned my blue lights on. He pulled over. And obviously, I'd been informed that there was potentially a firearm involved. So, your senses are heightened immediately.
Right.
Obviously, being a cop, you're vibrating pretty high anyway. But once someone tells you, hey, there's a gun in this car, then you're vibrating even higher. And it was a guy that I knew, and I knew him to be kind of in the drug world. That was kind of his thing. So once I saw him and heard the allegations against him, I knew, like, this is not that far fetched.
Right.
Okay. There's a
Still,
lot of potential here.
yeah, it's doable.
So, yeah. I was up there. I always really conducted, and I still do, even to this day, conducted myself what I would consider very professional, just very nonchalant. Like, I don't try to elevate the situation in any form or fashion. So, I go up and I'm like, hey, man, my name's Officer McGlothlin. At the time, it was Gray. That was my maiden name. I said, hey, it's Officer Gray. This is what I was dispatched to. This is why I pulled you over. Obviously, he denied it. I said, do you got your driver's license, registration, and insurance? And I said, let me go run all your stuff and I'll try to make it quick and we'll get you back on the highway. Like, that was always just my way of handling things. And he said, I'm on parole. And I said, okay, that's all right. Thank you for being honest with me. I appreciate you telling me that. He said, when you run my name, my parole officer's going to call. And, in Arkansas, I don't know how it works in other states,
It
but
does same.
they
Police
automatically
contact.
notify.
Yeah.
So they automatically notify. And he said, can I call her? And I said, yeah, I mean, if you feel like you need to. I said, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to do this investigative stop and then, we'll let you go. And he was just like, no, I need to call her. And I said, all right, man, that's perfectly fine. And obviously he was on parole, so he had a search waiver on file. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and pull you out of the vehicle. It was raining. And I said, I'm going to pat you down. You can sit in the back seat of my police car and make your phone call. I'm going to go ahead and search your vehicle. And he said, that's fine. I looked in the cup holder. There was an open beer in the cup holder. So he had an open container in the vehicle. And there was a roach in his ashtray. And I said, just so you know, man, I see this stuff. And he was just like, I know. You got to do what you got to do. Like, he was really chill. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was super chill with me. And, but I was also very nice to him. And that's just the way that I've always been. And
Right.
so I went ahead, I patted him down, put him in the back seat of my patrol car to get him out of the rain, and let him make his phone call to his parole officer. Well, I was searching his car, and I'd noticed when I walked up that he was fiddling with the cover that is over the gear shift. And, I was just typical cop being observant. So I was looking through his car, and at this time we didn't have body cameras. So, very, rural. We were poor, bro. We just poor
Yeah.
department. So we didn't have
Yeah.
nothing fancy. So, I was like, it got me thinking. I was like, why was he messing with that? So I lifted it up and I saw a gun. And, I was like, oh, okay. So I just casually pulled out my cell phone and I took a picture of it where it laid, called the dispatch center because I didn't want him to hear my radio traffic. He was in my car.
Right.
So I called the dispatch center and I said, hey, start me another unit this way. And she was like, are you okay? And I said, I'm fine for now. And she said, okay. But I didn't handcuff him. So, I mean, he was just in the backseat of my police car,
Right.
just chilling. I was trying to keep him out of the rain. And
So now you got to get him out.
yeah, I'm going to have to get him out, and I'm going to have to explain to him what's going on. Obviously, he's a felon in possession of a firearm. And so I got county there, and before I even touched the gun, I called him and I was like, hey, I need you to come look at this to see where it's at. He had a body camera. I did not. So I wanted it documented before I even touched it. And so he got there, he looked in the car, and the dude knew like something was afoot because obviously another cop has showed up now.
Well, yeah.
And
it's typical though for two cops on a felony stop, be honest with you.
well, it is, but at the time there was nothing.
Right.
I had not drawn any attention to myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I pulled the gun out. The serial number was gone. So he was in possession of a defaced firearm at that point. So I go back to my car, and I've got the gun in my hand, and I sit down in my seat, and he's talking to me through the cage, and he leans up, and he was just like, I didn't mean to lie to you. And I said, yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Like, let's just be honest. Yes, you did. Let's not, this time I had not stopped cussing. So obviously I was like, don't BS me, like legitimately. And he was just like, if you take me to jail, they're going to kill me. And I said, who are they? And he said, the cartel. And I said, the cartel's not here. Like, you're blowing smoke. And he said, no, I'm telling you, if you take me to jail, they're going to kill me. And I said, no, they're not. No, they're not. I didn't believe anything that he was saying. And he had already lied to me about the gun. And I said, well, we'll explain the gun. He was just like, he said, if you would have pulled me over 3 days ago, he said, you would have found the biggest dope bust of your entire life. He said, I was hauling marijuana for him. It was in Nike shoe boxes. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. He said, if you let me go, he said, if you just do not take me to jail, he said, I will have $10,000 sitting on your doorstep tomorrow. And I instantly got mad. Oh, I'm talking like, I have always prided myself in being an honest cop. I was so pissed. I was so mad. And at this point, I was very nice. Like, I was being super respectful, super chill. Dude, when I say I flew around and told him, I was like, bro, you just sealed your effing fate.
Right.
Like, no, like, hands down, I can't believe you just tried to bribe me. Like, you were honestly already looking at a lot of felony charges here on top of you being on parole. And then you just bribed a police officer? Are you kidding me? And he was just like, no, I'm being so serious. Like, I'll make sure you get paid. And I'm just like, no. Like, we're done. That was the most disrespectful thing that you could have ever done to me. Like, there's a lot of cops that probably would have taken that. I mean, $10,000 back then to any public servant's a ton of freaking money.
Now,
but there's no amount of money worth your soul. Yeah. I mean, like, there's no amount of money worth your soul. And so I was like, no. So I loaded him up. The county deputy got him out and with me, and we hooked him up, and I took him to the jail. Well, we were sitting in the jail, and I was filling out his ADR. I was doing all of his jail paperwork, and he was like steadily trying to talk to me. And I told him, I was like, you need to be quiet. Like, I really don't have nothing else for you right now. Do you know what I'm saying? And he came up to the counter, and he said, there's some things I want to tell you. And I said, bro, I'm just being honest with you. I'm not going to Mirandize you. I'm not going to do any of those things. I said, if you want to talk, you just talk. Like, I'll listen, you talk. And while I'm filling out my paperwork, because he just would not shut up. Like, he just would not be quiet. And he said, I'm going to help you out. And I said, whatever, like you've already helped yourself out. Like, that's what I was thinking this whole time. There had been a homicide in a town over from us, like 2 months before I got him on this stop. And he said, you remember so-and-so that got shot behind Kroger? And I said, yeah. And he said, I know where the gun's at. And I said, okay. I said, now I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you no questions. I said, if you want to talk, you talk. He said, I feel bad for what I said. I feel bad for bribing you. He said, I can see that you're an honest person. He said, so I'm going to help you out. And I said, again, if you want to talk, you talk. And he said, if you go to, there was a automotive storage unit, like place where they stored like wrecked cars and junk. He said, if you go there and you go to the far left-hand side, it's at the very back and it's under a gray car. And I said, all right. I said, you're not getting out of no charges at all. I said, I'm still going to charge you with everything. You're not getting out of none of this. I said, I appreciate the information. I honestly did not believe him. But I mean, I figured he was trying to negotiate. And so I called the police department from the city where the homicide had occurred. And I said, I'm just letting you know, this was information that was provided to me by an inmate that I just took to the jail. Do with it what you want. And he was like, do you care to go with me since he told you where it was? And I was like, no, I'm already in town. Let's just drive out there. So we drove out there and we're looking off. I mean, when I say there's probably 150 freaking cars in this lot. You know what I mean?
And 75 of them are gray.
Yes, exactly. No joke. Like, there's so many cars. And this investigator's just like, dude, he was blowing smoke at you. And I was like, I didn't say that he was telling me the truth. Like, not once did I tell you that. I told you that I had this information. This is what I'm doing with it. I have to do my due diligence and provide it to you.
Right.
Like, if it could solve a murder, let's just be honest, okay? So anyway, we're searching under cars, and the investigator that I went with, he was like, I'm done looking. This is BS. There was literally one freaking gray car left that we had not looked under. And I get down, I'm laying on my hands and my knees, get flat on my belly, and I'm just patting the ground under the edges of these cars. And I feel the gun.
Shit.
Like I thank God I was wearing gloves, but like I like was patting and I felt it. And I was like, no way. There's no way. And so I just reached under and grabbed it and pulled it out. And I like held it up and I was just like, blowing smoke, huh? You know, because douchebag cops drive me nuts, bro. Like, it's like, you know, the ones who are like, oh, you're just a girl, you're stupid. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that drives me nuts. And he was like, bro.
The one up felt good.
Yes. And so I was just like, boom, mother trucker.
Yeah.
And he was just like, are you kidding me? And I was like, no, I'm not. So anyway, now that dude ended up going to court. Whenever he went to court on my charges, he told the judge, like, because, you know, officers have to go to court or whatever. And he did me a solid on this. I truthfully think he just went back to prison, and I don't know that he's out. But I mean, on those charges, like, I mean, he was a habitual offender by this point. So whatever he got off the stuff that I gave him sent him to the pen, like, and he had to do day for day. And I'm not 100% sure that he's out yet. Like, not 100% sure. But whenever he went to court and pled on my charges that I got him for the defaced firearm. The firearm was also stolen. I wrote him for the open containers in the vehicle. Marijuana wasn't legal, so I popped him for that as well. And I also wrote him for bribing a police officer. So I hit him with 3 additional felonies on top of the 2 misdemeanors that he already had, and then it busted his parole. But I warned him up front. I was like, man, you shouldn't have done what you did. Like, this is where we're at. This is where we're at with it. And so he told the judge was reading off his charge, asking him how he pled, and he said, whatever she put in her report, it's the truth. Like, that's what he told the judge.
Yeah.
Whatever she put in her report, it's the truth. And I was like, this was the easiest case that I've ever had to do in my entire life. You know,
I would have made you work for that.
Yeah, like but I'm telling you, I genuinely think that it all stemmed from how I treated him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
and
I
that
never
matters.
treated him. Like, I never treated him like trash at all. Like, knowing that he was on parole, doing all the stuff, he just knew that I had a job to do. But the minute that I did not, like, take him up on his offer, he was just like, oh, she's a real one. You know what I'm saying? Like calls to like. And there's respect among thieves. That's just it is what it is.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, he did those solids, like, knowing that he was going back to the pen no matter what. Like, the gun was going to send him back, period.
Right.
Like, even without the other stuff, like, he was going. And that is, like I said, that's just one thing I can't overlook, bro. Like, you're in possession of a defaced firearm, being a felon. I can't just be like, oh, no, whoopsie, you know?
Yeah.
That's not a mistake. And I did ask him, this is the one question I asked him. I said, why did you flash it at that person? Like, why? And he said, I didn't do that. And I was like,
sucks because you want to believe him, right?
well, actually, I do. Okay, so I actually do believe that he didn't. So this is my theory. I had I asked our dispatch. I said, who called this in? And she said Chester something from Augusta. Well, Chester was also a drug dealer in a town over, and he got popped a lot. So I think that they were just like rivals, and he called it in to get him in trouble.
Yeah, get him out of the way. Yeah, get him out of the way.
Yeah.
It worked.
And so I think
it worked.
It did. It did work. But I genuinely do believe that he actually did not flash that gun at him. I think that it was one of those things like, hey, we just passed each other coming and going.
He knew he carried a gun. And he probably did threaten him with it before. So he probably told him, you know, it's easier to get him out of the way. Yeah, that people think that stuff in the movies sometimes is just movie stuff. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the street like that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm going to have to go get a phone charger. Can you hang tight just one second?
Yeah. You want to just shut this down? We're already at an hour.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can pick it back up.
Yeah. We could shut this one down, and then we could pick up another one. So we're going to let you guys go for this time. Again, if you guys see this and you've actually stuck around for the hour that we've been on here, I'm sure we could have sat here for another hour telling stories.
Oh, we could have.
You know, if you guys got any suggestions too, how you guys would like to see this, maybe that might be an interesting way to go too. You know, maybe we're not asking questions, maybe we're answering your questions, or maybe we're just getting on here and telling ex-con and cop stories. Who knows? You know?
Yes.
we could do it like that too. However you guys would like to see it, whatever would interest you guys, make sure you comment or message us and let us know. I would, it'd be interesting to see that. As always, Christine, don't go nowhere. It is an honor and a pleasure doing this work with you.
Yes, absolutely.